All right, welcome everyone. So happy to have you here tonight. I don't know if all of you feel the shift in energy that's been happening the last few days. And so we're going to take it a little bit
off the cuff.
Yeah, tonight and just talk about a few things that have been really weighing on our heart and our minds. But first, just wanted to start by talking about our vision and our mission with the Together We Rise Up Weekly. And our vision is to bring together a group of like-minded individuals with a passion for well-being and growth. This platform is to serve, share, and empower individuals on their journey through education and inspiration in three pillars of health: mind, body, and soul. In the process, we are raising the collective vibration and frequency to create a ripple effect in individual communities. Together we rise. In the Together We Rise group, our 7 core values are health, empowerment, integrity, community, innovation, ease, and experience. And I think that all of us here, with the topics that we're covering and watching everyone grow, it just feels so in alignment with what our core values, our mission, and our vision is. So thank you so much for being here. And when we were thinking about announcements today and thinking about everything that we wanted to talk about, I'm just going to be real honest and say, if any of you have not tried the whole blend shake, it's time to put it in your order basket. And the reason for that is that I know for myself and for Laura and for many of us, the difference that we feel in our body and our mind over the last month since introducing these whole blend shakes into our diet is next level. And one thing I will say is that Isagenix truly took it to the next level, integrating Eastern and Western properties and truly formulating one of the most spiritually, energetically charged food. And I know that seems a little bit crazy that even food can have a high frequency vibration, but it's true. And so I highly recommend, if you have not tried them yet, please do. And anyone in your organization or friends that haven't tried it yet, just explain to them how incredible this product really is. So I'm going to pass it over to Laura, who's going to kind of get the ball rolling on our off the cuff chat tonight.
Yes. Joe says he's had 3 whole blend shakes for the last 2 days. Don't tell anyone. So good. So tonight we're going to be chatting, basically, like we said, off the cuff about energy, frequency, and emotions. They're like the hottest topic right now, because if we can truly figure out those 3 things, guys, we've got everything in life figured out, right? And so I really want to ask you guys, how have you guys been feeling over the last couple weeks? Because Jen and I are living together now, and we have for the last 2.5 months, which has been crazy. But over the last few weeks, we've been noticing these crazy shifts with our emotions and different things starting to integrate. And it's we've been talking to some people lately, and it's a lot of people are feeling the same thing too. And it was just a new moon last night too, which means really setting intentions and manifesting for our next month, but also the next 6 months of our life. And I'm not too sure if you guys took some time to be able to think about some of the things that you're wanting to manifest into your life, but it's pretty powerful stuff. So I'd love if you guys want to put in the chat box, if you can think about some of the emotions that you've been feeling over the last few days, maybe the last few weeks, what are some of those strong emotions that have been standing out for you guys? If you can think about it. I know a couple of weeks ago.
Big time, Carolyn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the 3-step process and really just actually coming into awareness of what our emotions are in our bodies, because those emotions are really the tool that we can use to be able to guide and steer and direct us through everything. So Anna says abundance. Wow, that's amazing. So good.
I don't know why or how, but I managed to give the things that I have never given. And I was I could have afforded that. I could have done that. I could have helped her. Oh my God. It's and the little things too. It's not just a big gesture of the $1 million thing, but it was little causes that it's been rising. And I'm why not? I can help her out. And I'm just feel so grateful that I can do that. I'm oh,
wow.
I know.
That's so good, Anna. I
So then
love
my heart is like happy and like weird.
Nice segue.
You know what I mean?
Mhm. That's amazing. And so Andrea says, not sure to name it, but there's like so much energy and excitement inside that wants to get out, but feeling a bit uncertain in myself. Yep, I can definitely relate to that. We will talk about that. Carolyn says, I've been in a rabbit hole for a while, and then last Tuesday I woke up and felt normal again, and it was quite surreal. Victoria says, every single emotion, good and bad, embracing them fully. I love it. Victoria, if you want to put in specifically what emotions you've been feeling these past little weeks, good and bad, that'd be awesome. And Mom, transformations. What do you mean specifically by transformations? Like, is that kind of the same thing as Andrea said about like that excitement inside kind of shifting into something new? You want to put that in there?
So I want you to think about something for a moment. And we can talk about this openly, because one thing I know for sure is that every single person on this call is on a journey. You know, we are here for a reason, because we keep tuning in, we keep plugging in so that we can continue to grow and evolve. And I want you to take a moment for a second. And all of us are feeling all of these emotions, and at a high caliber. I know for myself, for Laura, we've been feeling the highs and the lows equally. And they've been coming not just daily, they've been coming sometimes hourly. And there's also been days where no matter how much is going inside of our head of what we could be doing, or the list of tasks that keeps getting longer, there's this influx of like no motivation physically. And what Anna was talking about, abundance. When we start to truly feel abundant in our own lives and in ourselves, everything changes. But what the heck does that even mean? Every single one of us who's on a journey to wellness and well-being, who is taking care of their physical body, we are nourishing our physical body, and which means that we are also nourishing and clearing our mind. And what does that mean on a spiritual level? Well, we always talk about self-care, right? All of us tonight, all proud that we washed our hair, we take care of our skin, we feed our body, we move ourselves, we do our meditation, we're doing all these things about self-care. Yet what if for a moment in this human physical experience, the changes that are occurring also impact our spiritual being? And too often we forget that self-care is not only for our human life form, but also our spiritual form. And so it's so normal that we're going through this big wave of emotions, because every single one of us on this call is going through this awakening process. And the awakening process, where do you think it originates from? It's from our heart. And so when we start unlocking our heart, and we've all heard those sayings, get out of your head and into your heart, right? Get out of your head and into your heart. And so how often are we feeling all of these emotions constantly running through us? The happy, the sad, the nervous, the tension, the overwhelmed, the mad, the happy, the excitement, all of this is happening. And then we go back to default and we get back into our head and we're like, okay, well now I need to know what that excitement was. And now I need to really label that sadness. And now I need to take all of these emotions and I need to put them into all these little boxes because I need to understand them because I'm a human being. Then what happens? We're tired. Then we're confused, then we get down on ourselves. And so what would happen if we realize that when we start working from a place of the heart, from the heart space, and we start opening that and cracking it wider and wider, then our guiding, our compass becomes our feelings and emotions. And maybe, just maybe, sometimes they don't need to be labeled and identified. Perhaps it is our spiritual body that is working for us to release things that we did not even know that were there. And it's kind of like when we have a big rainfall and everything looks so beautiful after. What if when we cried, it was just this deep level of blockage within our human body being released for us? And we get so fixated on that crying and on that emotion of sadness that we forget that perhaps what we really need to focus on is the feeling after. How good we feel when that has been released. Maybe it's made room for a new sense of awareness within us. How amazing is that when we can start being aware and just riding that wave? And that's what we mean by feeling it and leaning in and surrendering, right? These emotions are working for us, not against us. And when we can get out of our head and feel with our heart and identify with our heart, it gives us a lot more space to feel that abundance. Does that resonate?
And I'm sure a lot of us too can relate to the fact that we judge ourselves for when we are low energy, when we are not as productive, when we're not doing these other things that we feel like we should be doing, right? But what if you were to, every single time you start feeling that feeling of that feeling you should be doing something else, and started reminding yourself that this is exactly what you're meant to be going through, because that spiritual body is guiding us. And even in those times of low energy, the times of low motivation, these times of when we're not doing the things that we feel like we should be doing, it's exactly what we should be doing. And when we can really take that on and be like, okay, you know what? I'm feeling low energy right now. What can I do? I know for me last week, actually after I went for lunch with Victoria, we went for lunch. It was incredible. I had amazing conversation. Right after that, I had this massive drop in energy. It wasn't because of the conversation with Victoria. It was because the conversation was amazing. But what that was now my emotional body now needing to take that conversation and integrate it into my actual physical being. And so what did I do? I went upstairs into my room. I put on like soft piano music. You don't have to put on piano music, but I just laid there. And you know, when you kind of are in that kind of like half between sleep and half awake, and your mind is just going, and that's your subconscious mind kind of processing and integrating. That's what I did. I set a 45-minute timer, and I just laid there, and so many thoughts came through my head. And I remember like during the time, like it was like amazing some of the thoughts that I was having, but I didn't tie attachment to remembering those thoughts. I didn't tie attachment to anything that was going on in my head. I didn't judge them. I just allowed them to process, because that's what integration is. And a lot of the time we feel like we need to understand what's going on. But at a spiritual level, our brain is remembering so many things, and it's happening at that subconscious level that that's where the real true thing is, right? Like we are running the majority of our days off of our subconscious programming. And I think we forget that a lot of the time, because our humanness wants us to think that we are in full control over everything with our conscious mind. But when we can truly surrender to what's coming out of our subconscious mind and trust the process that's going on, and trust that all of the daily actions that we're doing and all of this growth showing up here, everything that we're doing is truly integrating into that system that we don't understand. And we can fully surrender to that process and just trust fully that that's actually what's going on. It's going to bring you so much ease into your life. And who here wants to live with ease? Put in the ease in the chat box if you want to live with ease, right? Like we all want to live with ease. And a lot of it comes with surrendering and trusting that we are exactly where we need to be in this exact moment. And it's hard at sometimes to be able to do that, but it's gonna like literally like set you off to do incredible things when you can truly surrender to that.
So I also want to live with ease. And Laura is a constant reminder. I'm that person who every time I'm integrating, it doesn't go fast enough for me, right? I'm like, well, why is this taking so long? Why do I feel like this? It's been 2 days. It's been this. I want to do this. And Laura goes, okay, but could you surrender? And sometimes it's really difficult to hear that. Yet, when we do allow those moments of surrendering and integration, this is something that's really cool that we all start to experience. And I'm sure all of us have had these moments where you wake up and you feel good, but it's a calm good. Like it's not the kind of good where you need to like go out and scream it to the world, because you just feel at peace, and you can look in the mirror and you can tell yourself like, I love you. I love you. And then you start to go out into the world and into different situations, and the coolest thing starts to happen. You stop thinking about everything and analyzing everything and judging everything, and you start feeling everything. When you walk up to a group of people and all of a sudden you feel a little bit exhausted and a little bit off, because you've allowed your body to start telling you messages through those emotions and feelings, what happens? Well, that natural, instinctual, emotional guiding light is going to give you awareness in those situations. How cool is it that we can start feeling the frequency of energy and how it fits into our lives in situations, with people, with food? It's like intuitive living. And intuitive meaning, just because it's good for someone else doesn't mean it has to be good for you. And so if we give ourselves permission to feel things fully without judging them, without having to put them into a category and a box, and we start allowing that flow of energy to go through us, what happens? We start showing up differently. And we always talk about raising our frequency. Well, when I look at every single one of your faces on here tonight, regardless of what's going on in our lives, you're all glowing. You have this natural glow because your frequency is rising. Not only are you putting the highest vibration of nourishment into your body, not only are we plugging into a community of other high vibrating human beings, but we're also allowing that spiritual body to keep elevating while we enjoy this human experience. And when we start doing that, we're unlocking the abundance of life. And that abundance of life may not be a huge bank account or the big mansion house. That abundance of life is going through every situation with a feeling of euphoria because you are aware and you are present. And when you are aware and you are present, you can start feeling the energy of everything and everyone. And that means that when you can feel the energy, understand the energy, and then be in tune with your own energy, you can make decisions of what you're going to do and what feels right without even having to go up into this place here. And so when we can get out of our head and into our heart, it's amazing how we can make decisions for our own well-being without having to tell ourselves a new story. How many times have we known that something is not in alignment with us? What does alignment mean? It feels good. Alignment means you don't get that sick feeling. Alignment means that you still have energy. Alignment means that someone shows up for a week and stays for 2.5 months. That's alignment, my friends. Alignment, that place of alignment means that we no longer have to talk ourselves in and out of situations because that's just a waste of our energy, pulling that frequency down. Alignment means that we can just go yay or nay and not have to explain ourselves, not have to feel guilt or shame because we are so in tune with how we feel that our heart's just going to let us know. And when we start going against that, or maybe we test the waters and we do something and it doesn't feel in alignment, what happens? We get exhausted, we get frustrated, we self-sabotage, we get angry. And when those things happen, when we're in alignment, instead of us starting to guilt and shame ourselves, what if we can just realize that we're being triggered to something that needs healing inside? It's no one else's responsibility but ours, which means that we don't have anger or hurt or betrayal against anyone. We just get to go, thank you for that beautiful lesson. I have something to work on. And now I'm going to move myself back to the safe place, this energy vortex, this high frequency that I know exists, my safe community. And I'm going to figure this shit out. Doesn't that kind of feel really liberating?
And when that happens too, like we no longer have to be a victim, right? We no longer have to rely on anybody else to change anything within us, right? Because as soon as we start recognizing that everything comes from within us and we take that time to go back to that safe place, back to that community, back to your home where you can truly take the time to think about all of these things. Like, complete transparency, I started dating again and I've been seeing this guy and it has caused the most challenging, it's challenging my belief system so much, guys, because it's allowing me to level up in ways that I never knew. And there were so many times where I'm like, I need to have a conversation, but then it's like, no, I just take the time and I have this internal conversation with myself and realize that most of the things that I'm like, I feel like this needs to be chatted about, really, it just has to do with me. Right? And then once you start working through these things, I wanted to go back to what Andrea said about that kind of in-between phase, right? Because there's this integration phase. We've been talking about it so much, right? We've got this period of where we're learning, where we're growing, and where we're taking in all of this knowledge. And then we've got this integration phase between the knowledge and the being, okay? The knowledge is still here. And the being is the emotions and the feeling. So when we have to take our time with that integration phase, things are going to start shifting from the knowing to the being. So shifting from the thoughts to the emotions and the feelings. right? But in order for us to get from from the thoughts into the emotions and the feeling, we need to go through this integration phase. And what comes with this integration phase? Like we already talked about the low energy. We talked about the doubts, right? We talk about the lack of confidence in this new person that we're becoming, right? Because the reality is, in this integration phase, we haven't became those things yet. We haven't actually put them into action and allowed ourselves to integrate with our spiritual body into our physical body in order for our physical body to be able to show up confidently, to be able to show up a certain way so that we can show that to the whole entire world. We know in our heads that that's the person we are, but we haven't fully integrated it into the way that we're showing up. And so when we can really take our time with that integration phase and really just put the effort in, as much effort into that integration as we do the knowing and the learning, then that's when we can become those feelings and those emotions. And like Jen said, when we can start living out of those feelings and emotions, it's really where things are going to change. And the biggest thing for me that I had this kind of aha moment today when Jen and I were talking was when I was in Colombia, I did a bunch of plant medicine. And when I came out of that plant medicine, I felt a new feeling of love and gratitude that I've never felt before. Okay. And the reason I share that is because I always thought, oh, I'm being grateful for things. I'm being grateful. I was saying the words, but it was not the emotion of love and gratitude. And you won't know what that actually feels like until you feel it. But by doing breath work and by doing meditation, you start and surrounding yourself with other people that give you those new feelings. That's where you're going to start having those new feelings where then you can now have this as your new standard. Right? When I came out of that, I was like, holy crap, I've never felt this love and this gratitude before. I would wake up in the morning sometimes, guys, and I was so grateful for the dumbest things, like coffee. Like in the morning, sitting out on a balcony, just watching the sunrise, I would literally be crying because I was so grateful. But you don't cry from the thoughts, you cry from the feelings, the emotions. Right? And that was that shift, the love attacks, exactly. But you don't know what that feels like until you feel it. And I know for me personally, I always have a hard time communicating with people because a lot of the times they're feelings. And I'm like, how do you communicate feelings with people? I'm like, you just got to feel it. Right? But you just got to, that's where the trust comes in, that you trust the process. But then you start setting your standards higher. And as you do that, that's where you start leveling up and you're going to start attracting in. As you continue to level up your own frequency, you're going to keep attracting in people at that frequency and people that just understand you. Because we like when you come into this community, you don't feel like you need to like express who you are. It's just known. Like it's a feeling, it's an emotional, energetic connection. It's not a human connection. It's the spiritual connection that our souls are literally aligning. And then our physical bodies are just along for the ride.
I love that. And when we talk about standards, right? It's when you have a moment that is just so unbelievably, incredibly filled with love. And you are in the now and you're out of your head and you're into your heart, which means you feel it. You feel it resonate through your entire being. And because you're in the now, you are time stamping that feeling into your physical human body. And the more we operate at this place of love, of gratitude, and of presence, we are allowing our physical human being to regenerate at a cellular level. And kind of what we were talking about before, Laura was saying with those standards, when you feel that once, it's kind of like a drug, is it not? You want to feel it again and again. Yet what if we just knew what that felt like? We allowed the ebbs and the flows, but anytime we were in a situation, a place, or with someone or doing something that didn't feel that way, we now know that it's out of our alignment. And so we pivot. And so instead of chasing that feeling, we can live it and allow it to lead us. And so that becomes the new standard of living. And it means that when we come out of that, it doesn't mean that we're doing something wrong or bad. It just means that we have a little bit of work to do and we're going to get back to that space. And it's a very different way of being. And like you said, we don't just wake up one day and march down the road and I'm like, I'm an enlightened spiritual being and I'm living from my heart and this is so easy. It doesn't freaking work like that, you guys. Hello, this work isn't easy, because if it was, everyone would be doing it. But the most beautiful thing is that there is no end point. We're going to go through these shifts, through these integrations, through these moments being like, who the fuck am I anyways? And it's going to happen a lot. Like Carolyn was saying, could I be in the newborn stage? Probably not, my dear spiritual, amazing friend. Yet I bet you're going through another big shift, because what do they say? At every level, there's a new devil. The more we unlock in our heart and the higher we start to vibrate, the more those little things that have been hiding throughout us come to our awareness. And how do they do that? Well, let's remember, we're living a human being physical experience. So it's no wonder that those triggers that are going to push on our buttons to allow us to evolve more are going to come through interactions with other human beings. And when they press on those triggers and we start getting all like at them, you know, when you want to just like run away or kick them in the head or something crazy, really what's happening is we're not angry at them. That's old way of being. We're not angry at them. What they're doing is triggering anger within us for something that isn't healed. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for triggering that for me, because now I don't have to wait years and years to come across this emotion again so that I can keep raising higher. Like, thank you so much for pissing me off, right? It's amazing when we can start looking at everything like that. I love that so much. And give yourself the time, give yourself the grace, and always know that every single person on this call and in this community is a phone call away. Because even though we're talking about taking the time to integrate, and you know, Laura's so good with her piano music, and I literally just like lay there and stare at the ceiling, like that's my thing. We all have our things, yet it would be crazy to think that we aren't people that communicate. And when we can verbalize it and say it out loud and process it with someone that we can trust who isn't going to judge us, sometimes we can get to the end result and understanding a lot faster. So I challenge you in those moments where you just feel like shriveling up and hiding because you were triggered or something happened, or maybe you're just feeling really awesome and you want to talk about it, because we don't always have to connect over pain and trauma. We can also connect over happiness and joy. Right? So what if we started reaching out to each other and talking about it openly and changing what verbal communication and friendship looks like? Because it's so often that we all come together after it all happens. And then we're like, wow, I went through this crazy time, you know, sorry, I've been MIA for like 3 months. This is what I was going through. It's like, what if we could actually change the way we talk to each other, the way we process, the way we look at human emotion and feelings? And we started creating a container constantly every day where that was the new norm, where we started throwing out talk about the weather and we started throwing in talk about our heart space. How cool would that be? And when we can start talking about it openly and making that our reality, it's going to give other people permission to do the same. It's so cool.
So cool. Yeah. And so Carolyn just said in the comments, for me, the verbiage in my head is, I'm sure they have enough shit on their plate. Why would I want to add mine to their plate so I don't reach out? And you know what? That's totally fair, right? But the biggest thing that I've learned is if we don't ask, we'll never know. The answer will always be no, right? If you don't take the shot, you're never going to actually score. And the thing is that when we can learn how to communicate, and the biggest thing that I've found is understanding the people that you can call, and then also asking, do you have space right now? Like, are you able to hold space so that I can talk about something that's going on right now? There's a big difference between us calling and complaining about things versus holding space for somebody and being able to just give that person a space to be able to do it. And maybe Jen can talk a little bit more about this because she's very good at it, but like how to protect yourself energetically before going into a conversation like this, because understanding how you can protect your energy from taking on that energy from somebody else, so that you can protect yourself while still listening and being in that space where you can hold space for that person, is so powerful. And it's been something that I've been learning as well. But being able to have people in your life that can really just truly hold that space and just be able to listen to you, right? A lot of the time, it's not like people are providing like answers. because we all have the answers within us. It's just a matter of saying it out loud, right? That's why journaling is so powerful. Anything that is in our internal world will never turn into reality unless we take it from our internal world and take it to the external world, right? Our internal worlds, if we keep it in there, where it's going to stay until our internal worlds until we die. Unless we take it to our external world where we can start journaling about it, which would be step one if you don't have those people that you're not ready to open up to. And you can actually take this dialogue and put it on paper and just answer questions, just ask yourself whatever, and just really work it out on paper. And I find that personally kind of hard. Like, I've always found that when I've tried to journal that way, I get distracted, I get like exhausted, and then I give up. Whereas actually engaging with somebody and having that conversation has really worked for me, which has been me taking down my walls, worrying about judgment, having that fear of what the other person's going to think, and being able to provide myself, like surrounding myself with those people that I can truly trust on this journey. And I honestly believe that the people in this community right now are those people where you can fully trust. But when you have somebody that you can trust, just go ahead and ask them to hold, if they're able to hold space. And then if they say no, then that's okay, right? Because that's where it comes in too, from the other end of the receiving, for us to be able to set the boundaries. If I am still working through my shit, I can't take on somebody else's right now. And I need to be okay saying, you know what, like I'm going through a lot of stuff right now too. As much as I would love to be able to be there for you right now, I am just not able to hold space for you right now. But like, do you have somebody else that you're able to talk to? And just having that communication between you, because there's enough people in this group that hopefully one of us won't all be going through the shit at the same time. So we're going to have people, hopefully we're all going through it at different times so we can lean on each other. But like that way, it's like you're actually able to do it. So maybe you could chat a little bit more about like protecting your energy in that situation.
Well, maybe we can do another call on protecting energy where we can all go through it together. Yet I would like to add one other thing to that. It's, Carolyn, what that internal dialogue and that struggle for you about reaching out, that is real. And we all have those in other ways. And the most interesting thing is when those come up, it means that at some point on our journey, we were told we were wrong for trying to express self. And when we're being told that we're wrong for expressing truth or ourselves, and that becomes a pattern, then we start believing that we're bothering people because we've been told that we're wrong. And I truly believe, I've gone through a very big experience that I will share at some point soon, where someone came to me with a big truth about themselves that they've never expressed out loud before. And the first thing they said to me after was, "Are you angry with me?" And I responded and I said, "Of course I'm not angry with you. You're telling me your deepest truth right now. I'm honored to be holding that space. And if I was angry, it wouldn't be towards you. I would be angry about something inside of me." So Carolyn, when those thoughts come up, let's work on creating a new story. Let's create a new dialogue about how it's you're offering your truth. And there are people that want to hear that, because we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned so often to stay quiet. Don't, those patterns, those stories, don't be too loud. You don't want to be the one, you don't want to stand out in a crowd. Oh, people are talking, small town, It's just not real anymore here. So we can recreate that story.
Mm-hmm. And to kind of chime onto that too, Carolyn, like if I came to you and you were able to hold space for me, how does that make you feel? If you're able to provide that space for me? Happy. Yeah. By you opening up and sharing these things vulnerably, you're able to give somebody else the pleasure of being there for you. And it takes reconditioning, like Jen said, because of all of these old past experiences. But when you can truly start doing that, you're going to start reprogramming that program. I used to be I used to hate receiving gifts. And it was the exact same thing, right? Like I hated receiving gifts. Somebody would give me a gift and I'd like either be like I would feel I'm inferior and I couldn't actually just give this to myself. Or I would just like be super weird about receiving things, compliments, anything. But then when somebody told me that it's like, well, by you saying like, thank you for this compliment or thank you for this gift, imagine like what feelings you're giving that other person by you accepting. It's the exact same thing.
So good. Does anyone have any questions, comments, anything they want to add? I just looked at the clock and it's like amazing because we've just been rocking and rolling for 40 minutes. So I'd love to open it up. If anyone has any questions, anything to add, any revelations, anything at all, opening up the floor for the last few minutes of this call.
I will chime in.
I'm trying to think of questions, but like my brain's not like coming up with the right words. But I know you two, like we all go through seasons, and just like your vulnerability of talking of like, hey, we hit the lows and stuff, but to see how you two just vibe off each other and like this community, we vibe off of it. Other than like calling each other on your BS and that stuff, do you have any other like cues or tips or any things that you've noticed over like the last month? Because I've seen both of your energy. I know you've been moving around a lot, but I've seen your energies be like good, and now it's just like external like universe energy that's like super contagious. Any tips other than just pushing each other, I guess, that we could do?
I think it's all about your environment, right? When you can have other people in your environment that are vibing at the same frequency as you, and that may be your significant other, it may be best friends you can live with. If you're living alone, it's truly just about tapping in as much as you can. Tap into this community, tap into other friends you have, like, and then once you feel that emotion and that feeling, that's where you have to work in your own personal life to experience those feelings and those emotions as well, right? And then once you start feeling that, you'll start feeling them without that person, right? Like when Jen wasn't here the whole week, like I was literally like, I woke up in the morning and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's such a good morning. Like it was incredible, right? It's like still having that feeling without those person, because then you're still depending on other people for your energy. But community and having other people are an incredible way. They're expanders, right? Just like different situations we put ourselves in, they're expanders to show us what's possible. And the more that we tap into other people and the more that we tap into different things, which show us those range of emotions that we are capable of achieving, then we're then able to go and do the personal work so that we're actually able to produce these on a normal daily basis.
Cool. So what I heard you say was environment, community to build you up, but then to learn how to harness those energies that you get from them. So when they're not around all the time, you can still tap into that stuff. This is kind of like a battery charger almost, like conversations and listening to this.
The other thing that has really helped me, because for those of you who know me well, I'm like a tornado in a live wire. Like my brain and everything I do moves incredibly fast. And so when I can take moments to be still and literally just look around and feel, I can start to feel my own connection to everything and everyone around me. And I know it seems really simple, but at the end of the day, when you're laying down on your back and you take your own hands and place them on your own body and just feel your own energy circulating through your own hands into your own body, and give yourself a hug and comfort yourself and have gratitude for this human experience, it makes such a big difference. And when you have those moments where you're feeling electric and excited, we do it all the time. We take a moment and we stop and we go, wow, this is such an amazing day. And we put it out to the world. How much better can it really get? That one phrase has so much power because it's showing like, bring it on world, we're ready, bring it on universe. And, you know, I think Laura has a point. There's so many different tips and tricks to just bring your energy back in to protect yourself, you know, and maybe we'll do a full call just on some of those tools and tricks, because those are truly something that I do multiple times a day. Whenever I'm feeling a little bit stagnant or off, going into that toolbox and using, you know, we come on all these calls, we learn all these tricks and tips, but the real practice of life is integrating them into your daily life. You know, if you're walking down the street or in the mall and you're feeling a little off and you were to just stand there still with your feet placed on the ground and open your palms up in front of you and take your eyes closed for a moment and take a deep breath, how much better would you feel by grounding for that split second? Most of us don't do that because we're scared of judgments from others. But you know what the secret is? No one cares. No one cares.
And we have so many things that like our vision for this group is like next level. And we have so much to be able to share with you guys that we've learned to bring us to where we are today. So just keep tapping into this group. We can't lay it all on you like all in one shot. This is going to be something that is like literally years. Like we're not going anywhere with this group. It's literally going to be incredible, but just keep plugging in and just keep putting in the work. Like from this week until next week, really focus on what you learned this week and start doing that integration process and start actually practicing these things. And then over the course of like months, years, like you're going to start seeing this incredible shift in yourself. And already now having this community here is going to accelerate your growth so much. Like I literally, it's been the last 2 months that I've been with Jen, and the acceleration I've had alone with just that is incredible. But being able to tap into something like this, it's really going to help accelerate your growth so much.
Can I just add something else into this? Everything that you guys have been talking about is amazing. Like it's all part of like getting to where you want to be for sure. But I just wanted to add something that I've learned myself to do is just to learn to be a little bit more playful about the whole thing as well, because we tend to get really like down on ourselves if we're not feeling just right. And like you said, you know, we're trying to figure out what's wrong with us basically. Well, I've learned honestly, like, and I feel so much more at peace with a lot lately because I don't know, it's just I felt this transformation really. And a lot of it is really just like I'll talk to myself out loud and I'll actually notice things and I'll say thank you like to whoever, you know, my guardian angels or whoever I'm talking to. And like, even if it's butterflies flying in front of me, like I talk to them and say, oh, I see you there and things like that. And I don't know, it just lightens things up. I mean, it might sound like I'm crazy or something. I don't do it when people are around, but it's just, I don't know, you just have to learn to let that little playful side of you come out. And I don't know, it does make a difference somehow. And just noticing all these little things that are around us all the time. And even things that don't go right, like I really learned to just look at them and laugh. Like I can actually laugh out loud and say like if that's not a message, I don't know what is. Like, you know, you just really become aware of like so many things and just don't let it bring you down. Just laugh at it and learn from it and go forward. And it's really helped me out a lot.
I love that so much.
Me too.
Yeah, it's so true. One quick thing I'll say too is like every little thing in our lives that we're taking in within our senses, whether it's sight, smell, all of these things are all catalysts within us working at a chemical level. So even seeing a butterfly and you actually being there present, seeing that butterfly, it's causing so much internal shifts we'll never ever understand. But everything is so like everything is perfect the way that it is. So everything that you're taking in, everything that you're noticing, everything that you're not noticing, all of it is so perfect. And it's causing this incredible chain reaction within you that is causing you to grow in so many ways that you'll never know possible. Even like meeting different people, right? Like you meet different people and it's like every single thing in our life that comes into contact with us throughout any of our senses is causing some sort of chain reaction to help both people or both whatever grow on a spiritual level. And we'll never understand all of it, but it's when you can really start seeing absolutely everything that we see, whether it's angel numbers, whether it's butterflies, whether it's other people. I was walking down the street with Tico the other morning. This lady was holding this baby. This baby was probably like a couple months old. It looked me square in the eyes from across the street and waved at me. And I was like, this is bizarre. This is not a human thing. Like, I see you. I waved back and I was like, that was really weird. I'm like, what the heck was that? But it's like every little thing in our life is just like, it's a message. It's a catalyst and not all of it will understand. I love that.
Thank you, Mama June.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I invite you to place both of your hands on your heart. Keep your eyes open or shut them for a moment. And I invite you to take a deep and slow inhale through your nose and out through your mouth. And one more time, deep, slow inhale through your nose. And out through your mouth. We are exactly where we're meant to be at exactly the right time, surrounded by the exact right people, learning the exact messages that are needed right now. You are enough. You are worthy of it all. And deep within your heart, you are truly abundant. From my heart to yours, my soul to yours. Have an absolutely beautiful evening, and together we rise.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.